Okay, good morning. My name is Russ Fitzpatrick. I'm presenting today's Expired Listing Goldmine workshop. It's 10 o'clock on Monday, and as always, we're going to be running the opportunity that exists within the expired listing world. I'm recording live on a new formula called Camtasia that we're broadcasting onto YouTube immediately following every broadcast. So you'll be able to find us on YouTube Worxaholic. That's youtube.com at the Worxaholic channel. You'll be able to see all of these broadcasts from here on that channel. So I'm going to stay away from the comments and questions and the chat line throughout the presentation today, but I am going to be moving to that immediately following the presentation. So I'll be able to go back to all your questions and concerns immediately following. So if you have anything come up, you can interrupt me on the conference line, but I'm not going to be able to see your text chat while we go. I want to welcome you again. We just left NAR in Anaheim. Exit Realty's presence was undeniable. The energy in the room was fantastic, and ultimately I think they do as good a job as anybody we've seen making our company stand out at a trade show that big and that aggressive. So I want to encourage you to ask your questions at the bottom of the text chat, or especially if you're new with us, here's how it works. We broadcast fully for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then afterwards we stop broadcasting and you can join the conversation on the conference call and really ask questions and dissect the situation more personally immediately following the broadcast on our conference call line. That's 1-800-770-8834. Just use that access code and you'll be able to join in the conversation. If anything should happen technically, you can interrupt me on that. I've got pretty good confidence because I'm hardwired in back at our home office. So, expired listings workshop, panning for gold. If you think about the prospecting opportunity that existed in the gold rush days, a bunch of fellas would get out there, or ladies even would get out there and dig up rubble, and they would fill their pan full of garbage from the bottom of the creek bed and hope that out of 2 pounds of rubble they would find an ounce or two of gold. And that's really a symbolizing analogy for the expireds. We know that most of everything that comes out of the expireds lacks motivation. We know that a lot of what comes out of the expireds is overpriced. We understand that a lot of what comes out of the expireds is, not willing to relist right away, or even has too many short sale or multiple lien issues to even sell. But when you pick up 2 pounds of rubble from the bottom of the creek and you sift through it, you find a couple of ounces of gold in every one. And I can tell you from personal experience for 26 years now, if you put me brand new in any city in North America, I'm talking you drop me off with a real estate license in Quebec, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a French translator. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the expireds, because the expireds is the quickest path to inventory that you'll find in any market you enter. I could walk into Jersey, I could walk into New Mexico, and by the end of that first week, land a couple of listings if all I do is what we're going to talk about today. So for those of you who own a shoe store with no shoes, you're running a real estate business with no listings, you need to get listings. When you get listings, everything in your real estate career changes. You've got signs, you've got credibility, you've got charisma, you've got leadership, you've got a swagger about you because you're carrying 10, 12, 15, 17 listings. And unless you've ever enjoyed a double-digit listing inventory, or certainly a triple-digit listing inventory, you've never really felt what it feels like to be in the real estate industry. You're kind of serving the real estate industry when you're working buyers, but you're really in and controlling the inventory when you manage listing inventory. So what we're going to focus on, I'm sorry about the little typo at the top. It says like panning for gold, but our software jumbled it. We're going to talk about consistency being the key. We're going to talk about a face-to-face opportunity for some of you. And then we're going to talk about a telephone opportunity as well. We're also going to get into some tricks of the trade that have been proven throughout the United States by some great expired listing prospectors. What we hope to do today is kind of change the complexion of that pile of rubble for you. In other words, if the average agent picks up 10 prospects a day and they're able to convert 1 appointment a day, they're having fantastic success in the expired sector of our business. But if you ever got to a point where you could get 3 opportunities a day rather than 1, then your pile of rubble has more value because there's more gold ounces than what you're revealing. And I think by using these tricks and some of the scripts and dialogue that have been taught to us by great companies like Mike Ferry and Tom Ferry and Floyd Wickman and Walter Sanford, that hopefully you're going to see some ways to turn more of that rubble into gold today. The first way is obviously through consistency. So this is the last time you're going to see the conference call line. If anyone on our call wants to type it in to the text chat, they'll help us out. And again, I'm not going to be visiting the text chat during this because I've got a large screen that I wanted to make sure you guys could see all the language in there. So the first subject we're going to touch on in painting for gold is, where do you get the numbers? What do you do when you visit them live? Are there any particular direct mail opportunities that have proven themselves? And if you are one of the cutting edge top agents in the country, what do you do specifically on the phone to make that rubble turn into gold? What could you do differently on the phone if you were going to jump up your game in the expireds? So the first topic is, where do you find them? In South Florida, we have a thing called the SEF ML Exchange. Everybody has a different MLS across the country. But to my knowledge, there's not one MLS organization in the country that doesn't link to the tax rolls and have the ability to create a hot sheet. Now, what I'm going to instruct you to do is either hire somebody who knows how to do it, or get on down to your board of realty and take the basic class on how to create a hot sheet, because we can't possibly keep up with the hundreds of different MLS designers across the country. But what we would like you to do is at least be an expert in your own board and understand how to create a hot sheet. And we're going to touch on how to do that here today, but very briefly. You're going to familiarize yourself with some software called whitepages.com, peoplefinder.com. And if you have a pen, write down PeopleSmart. PeopleSmart is an incredible skip tracing software that we just discovered in the last 30 to 60 days. We've been using it in the cooperative short sale world to skip trace people, and PeopleSmart is so cheap for a brokerage to own the PeopleSmart software for $39, and then ultimately to have the search capability to track and find people. And if you do expireds long enough, you know that skip tracing is a big part of the expired marketplace. Finally, I want to make a nod to my friend Vince Arcuri, the former #1 ERA agent in the world. He just whooped my rear end in the Facebook conversation, realizing how much I'd missed the mark in Facebook, using Facebook to track down expireds and vacant homes and owners. Just incredible resource with tens of millions of people on Facebook now. You can easily find a massive number of your prospects on Facebook. And then we're going to focus on a software package called RedX that we've been using for about 2 years here in Florida. Some of my realtors used it in the 2001 to 2011 window, but really we just started using it in 10 when we kind of got launched into listing acquisition because we were kind of in a pickle, to tell you the truth. We had to come up with a way to start generating revenue, and we found that taking a large volume of listings was the quickest path to money. And we did end up taking 140 listings during about a 9-month period of time. And I'm going to show you a lot of the ways we did that here through expireds. In our particular MLS, there's a hot sheet system. You simply click on hot sheet. You create your expired listing hot sheet. You set it up so that it tells you how many properties match your description. Don't stay with just the X expired listings. Do your terminateds with your drawns and canceled too. I have had a fantastic run with terminated, withdrawn, and canceled. Just real quick, if you did *6 on your conference line when you come on, thank you. Really exciting. When you go to T, C, and W categories under MLS, not a lot of realtors do those when they're doing their expireds, but you're going to find a lot of opportunity in the terminated, withdrawn, and canceled section of the MLS as well. But if you see down there on the right, it says 85 properties. So this would be a typical day in South Florida. Then I save the criteria. That criteria saves in my MLS, and it'll produce it every day. I mean, it's so clockwork. And the agents that use hot sheets are already rolling their eyes like, Russ, this is too basic. But there's some agents online right now that never experience the joy of waking up in the morning and having 80 prospects at their fingertips, and then knowing that if they are motivated, if they are willing, because that's the hardest part to find in the real estate industry, people who are willing to do the work. But if they are willing to do the work, there's work there to do right there that morning. Then I'm going to cross-reference, typically, if I'm going to do the labor myself, is I'm going to cross-reference the whitepages.com. That's the quickest path, the least resistance to find these contacts if they don't already have phone numbers. I probably will do a people finder if they weren't in the white pages to try to track down the numbers. And then what Vince shared with us is the reality that especially in 2011, moving to 2012, if your house expired and your number is unlisted, you have an incredible resource to just simply and quickly search that consumer's name on Facebook, and through a couple of hook or crook kind of conceptual guesses to guess if that's the Chris Brook from the Expireds. When you can look at his profile and you can determine whether or not he's the Chris Brook from Longwood there in Central Florida, or Newark up there in New Jersey. And if you found that he's the right one, you could send him an instant message to his Facebook. And I'm going to tell you what, that's one of the smartest moves you can do in 2011, because it's a pleasant surprise to have a real estate agent to be technically and innovative savvy. And that's why Vince Arcuri consistently out-earns almost everyone on this line. He's a 7-figure-a-year residential real estate professional, and he will typically go to Facebook to find these consumers. And especially above the $600,000 price point, it's hard to find the consumer's home number. Now, I'm just going to make a nod to one of the best software programs in the country. We're not compensated by them in any way. We don't have a relationship with RedX. But go to www.theredx.com, and they have basically a resource where you would not have to do all the labor. And if their phone numbers are listed anywhere in the world, they're going to give you their phone numbers, they're going to give you their email addresses, they're going to give you anything they've got for that seller directly attached to the printout. And from an expense standpoint, that's $60 a month on an agent level, or $600 a year is certainly a well invested return on invested time and money if you do use the program. I also find that once you pay for those leads to spit out every morning, it's kind of a motivator to hold yourself accountable. I'm going to share with you one little trick of the trade that I would encourage you to consider. Let's say you're a young agent, an emerging agent, you're on a monthly budget, and you're trying to figure out whether you want to spend that $60 a month because your highest priority is your Associate Works membership. You know, you've got to spend that $12.95 a month, right? So then you say, do I want to spend the $12.95 a month and the $60 a month? Well, let me share with you. Go on to your office and find 2 or 3 aggressive young realtors, aggressive realtors that want to do it, and say, hey, let's split the cost of this, because I'm not going to do it every day of the week. And maybe you could take Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I could take Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then we'll share Saturdays and Sundays or something like that. But ultimately, think creatively about sharing the expense with 1 or more people in your office. The RedX will give you owners' names, phone numbers, mailing addresses, tax information, and they do cleanse it against the do not call registry. I will make a politically incorrect statement now and tell you that I've called the do not call registry sellers every day for the past 12 years since the DNC came out, and I've never had a formal complaint, and I've never had a fine. I've never had a formal complaint lodged against me, and I will attribute that to a smooth apology when someone brings it up. If I call a do not call registry seller and they say something about the do not call, I humbly and immediately apologize, and I quickly convert to a defense posture which has a loophole for do not call, and that is that one of my clients asked me to give you a call, and the only reason I'm calling you is that one of my clients, who's a buyer, specifically requested that I contact you after your house came off the expired market, or after you listed your house by owner, or I was specifically requested to call homes in your neighborhood. That is a technicality, and if a buyer asks me to call you, and I have some sort of fiduciary relationship, I'm their buyer's agent, then I may have a strong enough defense to win the do not call registry violation. Now, I've never faced or defended a do not call violation, but I always immediately go to a defense posture, which is, I'm sorry, one of my clients specifically asked me to give your residents a call. Is everything okay? Don't do that. My do not call registry wasn't applicable because my buyer asked me to give you a call about your particular property, and that usually helps smooth the way. And then what you have to have is a singular buyer in mind that you use as an example. Like I would always use Carrie Krumenacker. Carrie Krumenacker asked me to give you a call. And for those of you who don't know, Carrie's worked with me for about 12 years. So she would register as a buyer on a buyer brokerage agreement, and then simply say, please call all the homes in a certain subdivision, and that may get you out of a do not call violation, but I can't guarantee it, and I'm not going to stand for it. And since this is recorded, I'm going to say formally, do not call the do not call registry. I'm advising you as a leader in the Expire Realty Corp International organization to never, ever, ever call the do not call registry. That's my preemptive strike on your extra suing me for a fine. But I'll tell you that I have called the do not call registry for many, many years, and I've gotten away with it. But I do not recommend that you do it in any way, shape, or form. Right here, formally, do not call the do not call registry. But ultimately, if you decide to, you'll make a lot of money. TheRedX.com, www.theredx.com, expired listings. So the statistical data shows that 75% of the expireds that come out of the MLS on any given day will relist within about 90 days. A good solid 20 to 30% will list within 3 days of being expired. Another group will list within the first couple of weeks. But 75% of all that rubble that spits out of the MLS at midnight will relist within 90 days. And that's a statistic that's pretty common nationally. There might be some pockets where they're more frustrated in Arizona, they're more frustrated in Southern California, they're like giving up in Florida. But most of the time, nationally, if someone was listed in the MLS, they're going to relist their house within 90 days, 75% of the time. And this particular screen that you're looking at now, and I hope everything's working functionally for you, this screen brings back a lot of memories for me. Okay? Many, many, many days of my 26-year career in residential real estate, I used a sheet like this at 7:30 in the morning. And especially those 2 years from 2009 and 10, when the market had really formally collapsed here in Florida, before I took the job as the regional director for Exit Realty Florida, when we were just smiling and dialing like everybody else, we used this sheet every single day. And I'm not exaggerating, guys. If you want to hear me, not only am I preaching to the choir, I was in the choir, baby. I was sitting there with you guys making these calls every day. And I can tell you what, it is not fun. I did not enjoy it. I do have a sense of competitiveness or a sense of mental chess that I did enjoy about prospecting, and the challenge to overcome objections on the phone and to work the political or the rapport building landscape of a new relationship on the phone is fun, but ultimately it's a drag. There's 6 consumers on that sheet in front of you, and what you do is you take a pen and you write your notes in each quadrant of that, and you can usually build one good prospect out of every sheet, and that's what we would work on doing. Now, we knew 75% of these people listed within the next 90 days, and I'm going to tell you, without any reservation, the most successful days we ever had dialing was when we grabbed a sheet that was a month old. We would go back to a seasoned expired sheet that was a month or 2 old, and we would recall those sellers. Man, oh man, what a difference, because they were warmer, they were calmer, they were less defensive, and whatever we missed on that first Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. when we used to call, when that is actually when we called at 7:30 a.m. every day, we would get yelled at, screamed at, hung up on, and told to go to hell at 7:30 a.m. all the time, but we would end up with a couple of listing appointments every day. Well, with that said, when we called these people back a month later, man, what a difference. Warmer, friendly, conversational. It would be like asking a girl to dance at 8:30 p.m. and then asking her again at midnight. You're probably going to have a little better luck at midnight. So I would just recommend that you call these people back a month later. You'll have a shot to get into a relationship with them a little easier when they've tenderized a little bit and they've been off the market. Now, you will miss some because some of them list really quick, but I call them on the day they expire, but then I always call them back about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks later, and you'll see they're a little more open to dialogue the later it gets into the evening. It's just a common trait that we found through the sellers. You guys will all be able to print this script from your PowerPoints if you choose to. This is I think it's a former Mike Ferry script. I want to give credit where credit's due. I just don't have any documentation in front of me that this is a Mike Ferry script. But I spent a tremendous amount of money with Mike Ferry. We're not plagiarizing. This is a public document. He lists this on his website. Hello, I'm looking for Carrie. Hi, Carrie. It's Russ Fitzpatrick. I'm calling. I see your home just expired from the MLS system. Did you still want to sell your house? Oh, no? Oh, terrific. You decided not to relist it. Do you plan on relisting in the future with your same agent? Or are you looking for maybe an upgrade to the marketing plan the next time you do list your house? This is a key to Mike Ferry prospecting right there. Acknowledge and ignore. She just said, no, we're not going to list our house again. He didn't care. He just said, terrific, and he went to the next question. It's counterintuitive to conversation style, but on the phone, you need to keep moving with the script. Don't stop and respond to what they said. Acknowledge and ignore is the key. Do you plan on relisting with your previous agent? Now, you would think that the person would say something like, well, I just told you I'm not relisting. But 9 times out of 10, they don't. 9 times out of 10, they say, no, we're probably not going to relist with the same agent. Whoa, wow. That's just a whole different conversation than what they just told you, right? That's the thing you learn when you prospect on the phone enough, that people just say whatever they're going to say as a direct defense mechanism. So that's why scripting and moving forward with a script is useful. Hey, if you sold this house, where would you move to? Now notice, I don't parrot this exact line of the script. I use a different inflection, a different enunciation. If you sold this home, hey, if you did sell this house by, let's say, January 15th, where would you move to? Now they go, well, my husband's getting transferred to Texas. No. Well, that contradicts what you just told me. You contradicted yourself now. You said you weren't going to be moving. Now we're into a conversation because they're starting to open up. And this is very much like courtship. It's very, very nurturing. It moves along nice and slow. You don't pounce on anybody. You don't ever feel like you need the listing, because as soon as you need the listing, they don't want to list with you. What you do is you keep it very light and conversational. Well, how soon do you have to be in Texas? I mean, how soon do you want to be in Texas? Really? Hey, did your previous agent ever tell you why your home didn't sell? Really? You know that last month, while you were on the market, we sold 16 houses. As a matter of fact, last month when you were on the market, there were about 184 closings that were in your price range in the MLS. So why do you think your house didn't sell when 184 other houses did sell? Did your realtor ever tell you that? Well, that's funny. How did you pick that agent to list with? Well, that was a good idea, but what do you expect from your next agent? The next time you pick an agent, are you going to pick an agent differently? Because it didn't seem to work out, right? Have you picked another agent yet? Oh, great, you did. You're going to list with your sister. Oh, okay, good. Well, I would very much like to apply for the job of selling your home. I like to show you why your home did not sell. That's first. And then I'd like to show you some ideas of why I can definitely sell your home this time around. Would it be okay if I came over tonight or maybe tomorrow late afternoon to spend a few minutes with you? Because I'd really like to apply for the job to sell your home. And hey, no matter what, I'm going to show you exactly why your home didn't sell, because I know exactly why it didn't sell. And then I'm also going to show you what we'll do differently that your other agency didn't do. You're going to hear a pace and enthusiasm and inflection that is common in telemarketers. These telemarketers that are good are very upbeat, they're very enthusiastic, they carry a lot of passion, a lot of conviction, they're not ho-hum kind of losers, they're not deadbeat kind of like lethargic talkers. They're people that got pop, 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 and they inflect differently on the phone, they sound different on the phone because you have to break through the defenses. One of the best telemarketers I know is Robert Jerome. Truly, 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 nationally, one of the very, very best telemarketers that I know. And I had the good fortune of telemarketing with him every morning for almost 2 years. He was the guy who spoke at the Nashville convention for Exit Realty Corp International. His name is Robert Jerome. He's currently the vice president of sales for Exit Realty Central in Orlando. In Maitland. Robert's call goes a little different than Mike Ferry's, and I think it's useful to see. Hi, Steve. Yeah. Hey, Steve, this is Robert Jerome. Listen, I'm sorry for calling you so early, but I really needed to catch you before you went to work. Listen, I've been following your home on the MLS for the last couple of weeks, and I saw it came up expired this morning. Man, I think you've got a great property. I've known this neighborhood my whole life. I was just wondering what happened. That's Robert's script. He's used that script over and over and over. Now here's the seller, blah, blah, blah. Typically he's going to start talking about his last realtor failed. He might say something mean like, why are you calling me? I don't want to list my house with you. Or he might say why the market caused the sale to fail. Typically that's what his realtor's been convincing him of. I always loved it when a seller would say something like, well, my realtor said it wouldn't sell because it didn't have a pool. Or my realtor said it wouldn't sell because it was a 3-bedroom instead of a 4-bedroom. I said, did your realtor say that pool homes don't sell? Is that what you just told me? Did your realtor say that 3-bedroom homes don't sell, only 4-bedroom homes? That's ridiculous. Now, this is where Robert makes his close. He just simply moves to it, and he and I have had a competition. And I want you to think about this competition. Here was what our competition was. How many seconds before the person answers the phone before you book an appointment? We would actually compete for the least amount of time before an appointment was set. So he would always move to close right away. And he beat me all the time. He really, really did. Because he would move to close faster. I was more on the phone, like every call lasted 10 or 15 minutes with me because I like to jabber. But he was the king. He would move right to a close. He would say something like this. Hey, I'm actually going to be in Shadowwood all day today and tomorrow because I'm showing property in Shadowwood. I would love, once I'm done showing houses, to pop over and take a peek at your house. Maybe we could sit down and talk for a few minutes about some of the options that exist for you. Would Wednesday night or late afternoon be better, or would Thursday be better for you? Because I'm going to be in Shadowwood all day Wednesday and Thursday. When would be a better time? Now, his close was a little tighter and more concise than that, but you get the idea. And I want to encourage you to experiment with scripts that inflect some sense of enthusiasm, some passion, some conviction, and above all, some individuality. You want to stand out from the crowd. You want to say something that they're not expecting and impress them. Now, I also, in the early days of my career, did a lot of live visits on expireds. I think they're extremely useful. When a seller wasn't home, we used these extra large sticky notes, and we hand wrote in blue ink one line, please call me about your house. That's all we wrote. Please call me about your house. And then we wrote the words, my first name and phone number. That's it. Now I see that it leaned off the yellow dock there, but you get the idea. You go out to Office Depot or Staples and you go out and buy yourself a little yellow pad of sticky notes. And it looks so unprofessional, doesn't it? It's just so cheesy. It's so not professional. It doesn't have your logo on it. It doesn't have your image on it. It's not full color. But you know what? Blue ink, handwritten, gets calls back. I go up, I write, please call me about your house, Russ, no. Now there's at least one pencil pushing geek on the line right now that's sitting here going, well, Russ, that's illegal. You can't do that. You can't write a note to a seller and not disclose that you're a realtor. Well, I'm sorry, Your Honor. I just had a sticky note with me. I just wrote a little note. I didn't know that was illegal. If you want to find me, you can find me. But I'm pretty sure if OJ can get off for killing Nicole, that I can get off for writing a note on someone's door. So I don't sweat the small stuff. I went ahead and put the little note on their door 200, 300 times a month. And I would get several dozen calls back every month from that little cute little note. It's very, very effective. It's non-abrasive, and it basically just says, please call me about your house. And when they call me back, I always have good luck building rapport with them. This is Chip Isabella, one of the top listing agents in South Florida for a decade. This guy took 20 listings a month for a lot of months. He was always a like a platinum club level player, $250,000, $300,000 a year kind of guy. Chip would use these black and white low price door hangers and put them on expireds. I think those are very, very useful. Now I'm going to show you a really unique selling proposition for expired listings, especially above 300 grand. If you want the $9,000 commission checks, if you want the $15,000 commission checks, this is a hot tool. I've seen it used all over the country. I got a group using them in Atlanta right now. I know there's a group using them in Denver because we trained with them many, many years. And this is a hot commodity, especially in the higher price stuff. Go out and get yourself some bandit signs made up that say your home could have been sold if you would have hired Exit. Now go to the front yard of the house that just expired and stick that in the yard. I know a bunch of you are already rolling your eyes because this is really scummy and you're going to tick some people off and a lot of people are going to complain. But watch this. Stick that sign in their front yard the day that their house expired. Look at the back. Please call me right away. No brokerage markets your home more aggressively. Our international digital marketing strategy is bringing buyers to Orlando from all over the world. We have all the buyers. Call me, 954-592-0273, Exit Realty. That piece of equipment is built because most people are not home during the day. Now what you do is you roll out to their house 2:30, 3:30, 4:30 in the afternoon, and you stick that in your yard. Guess what? When mama comes home with the kids at 2:30, 3 o'clock, she sees that sold sign in your yard. Nothing gets under your skin more than a sold sign when your house just expired, does it? Well, you can love me or hate me, but I'm telling you what, I know people this works for all over. They go to banditsigns.com. They spend $25, $29 for 25 signs. So you're spending about $1 a piece, maybe $2 a piece. And you go out. Now, you can go back and collect them back out of the houses in the evening and reuse them. But I'm going to tell you what, it's worth the investment to spend that money. This was what our sign looked like in South Florida. It was that Exit Burgundy, and all it had was the phone number and the word sold on it. And it actually said our logo at the bottom with our phone number. It just said sold. Then they're like, what? And then on the back it said, your home could have been sold if you would have listed with Exit. Call me or email me, Russ@ExitFloridaWorks. So not each one of these tools is going to work for everybody online, but I will tell you that I've studied with enough of the top expired people in the world, and you have to do something almost obnoxious, almost arrogant. You have to do something that really stands out. Walter Sanford used these firecracker sticks, these dynamite sticks, for a lot of years with expireds. You could buy 100 of them for $130, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and put your letters right in the dynamite stick. Again, it's all about standing out from the crowd, being unique. They're still available on waltersanford.com. I studied a lot with Walter Sanford over the years. He was one of the keynote speakers at this year's convention also. This, I know I'm flying through this stuff, but I want to give you as much as I can in a short period of time. Think I'm going too fast? I just got a dirty look. This letter was extraordinarily successful for us at RE/MAX. We were Platinum Club Hall of Fame members at RE/MAX. We ran a 5-person team before we opened our brokerage with Exit. And we will sell your house in 60 days or less, or we will sell it for free. That letter, we sent out 20 to 30 of those letters a day for about 5 years, and we had fantastic results. That letter is available for you in publisher format on your Works website, under the AEM Works and the AnnieMac Works websites, or your Exit Florida Works website. You can access that. If you're not in one of the states yet, go to aemworks.com or go to anniemacworks.com, and all of our sites have an X at the end, so it's worx.com, and you'll be able to see that letter. You simply change the photograph in Publisher. You can quickly do a search and destroy or find and replace your name for their name, and then ultimately just print the letter. Now, this is kind of cute. I just want to tell you something that we tried for a while. We didn't continue it, but it did work for a little bit. I don't know why we gave it up. It was just expensive. We would send them out the first letter, and then about a week later, they would receive a crumpled up version of the same letter. And it would say, "Do not throw this letter away again." And it was just a cute little tongue-in-cheek way of saying, hey, this was an important letter. They probably threw it out, right? So we crumple it up as if it was in the garbage can. We refold it into a letter, and we put it back in, and a little sticky note says, "Please do not throw this letter away again." It did get a lot of response. It was just inexpensive because you had to do 2 50-cent letters per house then. So we stopped doing it. We also stuff certificates into our letters, like the Exit Upgrade Program, the Exit Empty Nester Program, the Exit FSBO Assistance Program is one that we've used a lot, and the formal 60-day sale guarantee certificate, which is not something I would advise you do without proper training. There is plenty to do in the expired market, and I'm going to take 2 more minutes to go over our most effective tool that we ever used in the expired world, and that is our expired listing newsletter. The newsletter was basically a quarterly or maybe a bi-monthly reprint so that we could update some of the time-sensitive issues on the newsletter, but it was basically the same format every month. It was just that we redid it to update it for the time. So, for example, 5 reasons to sell your house before Thanksgiving. Now, if I were sending this out in August, September, and October, I would say 5 reasons to sell your house before Thanksgiving. And you see this, the president just signed a massive homebuyer incentive. Buyers are shopping to close before the holidays. Canadians, Latinos, and Caribbean and first-time homebuyers are motivated to buy right now as economic conditions are in their favor. The fall will bring a lot more bank-owned REO inventory after Thanksgiving, so the foreclosure inventory will likely drive prices down again. That's true for 2011 going into 2012, so you could use all those, but you could tell this was from before. While your home was sitting on the MLS not being shown, we sold 40 homes in Coral Springs, Margate, Tamarack, Sunrise, North Isle, Coconut Creek, and Plantation. Can the bailout help you? See how this 8-page full-color newsletter really drives the points home for us. Nearly double the qualified home buyers that close than the average top 15 office, and theirs was our office statistics there. Talk about the marketing, the team effort. Original owners don't look a gift horse in the mouth. The people with equity should be grasping that equity. All realtors are not created equal. Don't wait for the MLS to sell your home. There's the 60-day guarantee. You can take that if you don't want to use it. Associate of the Month, Robert Jerome. He was my partner. We were listing property for a good solid 2 years together. Does staging really work? You've heard me talk about staging in the past if we've ever met. And I'll tell you what, staging is a very nice, unique selling proposition for residential real estate agents. Does staging really work? There's that article. I had Becker and Polyakoff, a local attorney, write an article on short sale negotiations. Wells Fargo, SunTrust, Bank of America, TD Bank Financial Group. These people paid for ads in the newsletter, so it saved us money printing them. Are you upside down on your house? And we put the photograph upside down, actually, to get their attention. And then the back of the newsletter left space for the label, and it had our 1-800 number on it, and it had the guarantee. Now look at that guarantee. We will sell your home in 60 days or less guaranteed, or we will pay your mortgage payment until it's sold. That's pretty aggressive, right? So we don't recommend that for everybody, but if you're a good salesperson and you can work that guarantee into the conversation, it is a very, very effective way to get their attention, especially in the expired market. I'm going to tell you what Wednesday's about this week. Carrie is a Microsoft publisher expert. She does fantastic job in graphic design. She's the designer of that newsletter template. She's going to share with you those letter templates and the where to go to print these things up on Wednesday. Remember, Monday is what to do and why to do it. I think we covered that today. Wednesday is how to do it. So if you come back and join Carrie on Wednesday, she's going to spend about an hour with you on Wednesday creating these templates and showing you how to create these or use these templated pieces. She's also going to show you how she uses Ebates to save money. She goes into Ebates, goes right to Vistaprint online and orders her printed material, or she'll go back to Ebates and get a printrunner.com certificate for 12% cash back. And we've gotten checks in the mail for $60, $80, $150 from Ebates, and always very exciting. You save a few bucks if you use them. Printrunner and Vistaprint are two of the biggest printers in the world. I'm going to switch back to the text chat and open up dialogue. I know I've been whizzing through this subject matter, but I wanted to go fast so I could get everything in. What I feel like we talked about today is comprehensive. We talked about where to go to get the numbers. We're focusing on RedX and whitepages.com and PeopleSmart. We talked about what to do when visiting live with those little yellow hand-it notes, the little post-it notes, and the dynamite stick that Walter Sanford uses, or especially that bandit sign that I used a lot, because ultimately 3 out of 5 of the people you go visit when they're live aren't going to be home. And then we gave you some scripts in case they are home. What are you going to say when you get there, right? How are you going to approach them? You want to know your scripts inside and out, whether you're on the phone or live. And basically they are the same script, whether you're live or in person, or on the phone, I mean. And then we went through some direct mail solutions, specifically our newsletter, which was an 8-page full-color newsletter that went out to expireds every day. And then we went into a couple of direct mail letters too. So we hope we showed you enough of what to do and why to do it. The why is simple. I sold my first 20 to 25 homes a year with the expireds every year. That's a good solid 2 closings a month off of the expired market. If you want to earn $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year in residential real estate, you better be an REO agent, or you better go out and get a lot of listings, because you're not going to do that as a buyer's agent too easily. There's just not enough time in the day to make $250,000 as a buyer's agent unless you're working a high price point. So we'll close on thank you for being here, and go out panning through a ton of rubble to get to some gold nuggets. Don't be mad at the rubble. I think that's the key advice in the expired market. I hear so many realtors complaining about the no's, or the overpriced, or the lack of motivation, or they focus on what they aren't getting, or they focus on what the negative is. Why don't you focus on the fact that 5 to 10% of everything that comes out of the expireds is going to relist within 2 to 3 days. That another 20% is going to list within 30 days. And nationally, almost 75% of all those people are going to relist their property in the next 90 days. And if you believe that, it beats the hell out of calling buy owners, because buy owners haven't even agreed to pay a commission yet. At least these people have already agreed to pay a commission. At least these people have already taken that first step with a realtor, right? So these are laydowns compared to for sale by owners. And it beats the hell out of scanning the entire beach looking for gold with a metal detector and walking the whole beach, when you can just go right to the rubble that just came out of the MLS. Then you know that a certain percentage of them are going to be listing their house on the market. So farming and cold calling and door knocking outside of the expired market has its place, but inside of the expired sector is by far the most target rich environment that you can prospect. So join Carrie Krumenacker Wednesday workshop at 10 a.m. day after tomorrow if you're interested in how to do some of this stuff. We thank you for your time and attention, and I'm going to close up our recording now and stay online with the conversation if anybody would like to.